Welcome back, everyone. This is Frank DeMora from the End Times Research Ministry. Yesterday, on July the 29th, I gave you some information concerning mass bee deaths and how the food supply is going to decline, as we see from the book of Revelation. And I told you also that it wouldn't just be the bees that were responsible for the decline of food, but there'd be other reasons as well. And I mentioned floods, I mentioned intense heat, and mentioned war. But we also know that there's going to be pestilence, because this is what Jesus tells us in the Gospels. So let me just show you now very briefly one of those circumstances that have arisen because the proper conditions, weather conditions, very hot, very dry. And this is coming to you from Russia at this time. So you're going to see an article that came out from ABC News. The plague of locusts, darkened skies, threaten crops in southern Russia.
Да селочек кулак. Вот что у нас творится.
There's millions upon millions of locusts that, and what do locusts do? They eat up the vegetation, they eat up the crops. And as our planet's conditions become perfect for the breeding and the hatching of locusts around many parts of the world, you'll see more reports like this showing that the crops are being eaten up. So I think you get the idea. The video is about 3 minutes and 38 seconds long. If you want to watch the whole thing, you can go to ABC News. I'll leave the link for you at my site. Now, for those of you who have been watching the news, you probably saw that this is not the only locust swarm that has affected the crops in 2015. For example, in February of 2015, we saw this massive swarm in Australia. I'm going to play just a little bit of it. And the reason why I'm playing this is because he does mention that it's happening during the sowing season. In other words, it's happening for the crops. And these locusts are eating the crops. I'll play just a little bit of it. And again, I'm going to keep these links at my site so that you could watch the videos.
Their stock numbers back because they're running out of feed because the locusts have gone through and eaten them. And also the major concern with the locusts just at the moment is coming into the sowing window. The damage that they could do to, crops as they emerge. We're just at Cobercoa just at the moment, just sort of 20, 30 k's north of Dubbo. The more reports that we get, it gives us a better case for getting more resources brought in to assist farmers. So that's really important, particularly like heavy density swarms. So if you've got...
So I'll stop it there and show you some other swarms as well. And as you can see here, Friday the 24th of July, from the ChristianPress.com, there was an article that talked about this locust plague that threatened Egypt, Israel on high alert as Passover nears. It says, in what scientists described as the worst locust swarm in decades, a massive locust outbreak, estimates run as high as 30 million, has now moved from Egypt into Israel. It was 1959 the last time a swarm this severe threatened the crops and livelihood of the Jewish people. So again, locusts eating up the crops in Egypt and Israel. And then the Popular Science gave us a report on July the 22nd. A big swarm, so big it shows up on the weather radar. And you can see a picture that they have here of these millions of locusts. And they'll also have this radar scope that shows you what they saw. I mean, it was massive. So just wanted to bring your attention to this kind of news because, as I said earlier, that the conditions are becoming perfect. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people know that Monsanto, the company that is producing the seeds so that the farmers can grow these massive crops, They've been working on modified crops, and you'll see this article in Natural Society. It says the herbicide-resistant insects are destroying GMO crops like never before. So what they're doing is they're putting these concoctions together using chemicals, trying to make these crops stronger. And of course, I don't think it's a good idea to be eating crops that are full with chemicals, but the article says so biotech tries to make even stronger toxic crops chemicals. You see this little bug eating away here, but it says BT corn was originally created, or so Monsanto claims, and of course Monsanto is one of the largest companies who are doing this, to eradicate a farming nuisance known as rootworm. But as evidence from the GMO Corn lab comes in, we are learning how the pests are living the lives in fields planted with GM BT corn seed. In 2011, a cornfield planted in Iowa with the BT corn was found to be completely decimated by rootworm. The study, just published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, describes the western corn rootworm's rapid evolution after dining on the engineered corn. So it doesn't really matter what the scientists are doing. If the insects want to eat away the crops, as you can see, that's exactly what they're doing. And all that's happening here is they're putting chemicals in food that the humans are eating, and this definitely isn't good. So keep your eyes, as I said, on the news as the warm weather continues to come and providing the perfect conditions for a lot of the crops to be devastated by insects in many places around the world.